So it's either good or bad. It's either light or dark. It's either happy or sad. And what I've found is that those binaries don't work for me. What works is living in the both and. So life is complicated. Life is ambiguous. Life is full of confusion. And when we try to avoid the confusion, when we try to avoid the messiness, that's when fear takes over. So instead, what I did was I said, well, I don't feel completely depressed about cancer. Yeah, sometimes I do. Sometimes I'm upset. Sometimes I'm really mad and I think, why me, and it's not fair. And then at the same time, I might be going on a walk and looking out at the beautiful way the light hits the leaves and the birds chirping as I'm walking and thinking, this is the most beautiful life I could ever imagine. And how can I think it's unfair and I'm suffering and I'm loving and enjoying at the same time? I think that's where we live. And maybe part of it is that with children, we're worried that is, sometimes people are concerned that would be too confusing for children. And they need to be able to sort and categorize their existence. Well, I'm not saying that there definitely aren't happy times and sad times, and we need to understand what happy and sad means, and we need to understand that there's a range of emotions in between. But I'm not convinced that children are confused by living with both, or with living with multiplicity at the same time. In fact, I think that they do, and it's perhaps with adults that we get concerned that we don't know how to explain that. And maybe that comfort is in certainty, but in actuality for me, comfort is in embracing that ambiguity and embracing that complexity, because it's by doing that that I can say, you know, when my daughter is happy, coming, you know, galloping down the stairs and then sees that mommy is fatigued on the couch, that's okay. It's okay that she galloped down the stairs. It's okay that I have fatigue on the couch, and you know what? Maybe her happiness is going to lift me up, and I can be both exhausted and want to go roller skate with her with my red wig on at the same time, which is what we did the first day of my chemo. Before we left the house, I put on my wig, we put on our roller skates, we roller skated around the house, we put on some music. We had a joyful time. I wanted to enter what was the most difficult moment for me, which was knowing I was putting poison in my body to get rid of the cancer. I wanted to enter that as a moment of joy. I was working on saving my life. I was working on living. And that's, I think it's essential to the healing process, to work on living in the moment and to allowing yourself to have the range of emotions that you have. It's also essential to the book. It's essential to the way that I believe we need to talk to kids about difficult things, that we can embrace the complexity in a way that they can understand, and we can use art to do that. Another example was, as soon as I had one chemotherapy treatment and my hair started falling out. And I had planned it, I cut it short like it is now, and then I knew that as it came out there would be clumps, right? People had described what would happen, and I had already described to my daughter what would happen, so that she wouldn't worry. I wanted her to have kind of a concrete picture. This is a symptom that the medicine is doing its work, and that it's fighting what's inside of me. So when I started getting the clumps out, I'd just been at a doctor's appointment. I just kind of running my fingers through my hair, feeling a little bit overwhelmed with being at the appointment and all the emotions that get brought up. And as I'm doing this and feeling overwhelmed, I pull my hands out and the first clumps of hair come out. And I was like, oh, yep, that's what they said would happen. Okay, hello hair. And I threw it in the trash. And then when I got home, I said, okay, let's play barbershop, because I'm not going to wait to have clumps of my hair falling out for the next week. Let's play barbershop and just get rid of all of it. So instead of it being a fearful thing or like a dread or an anger, which people have, and that's fine, And I'm not suggesting that we should all play barbershop. But for me, it was the playfulness that allowed something very difficult and drastic happening to me to confront that very piece of my life that I was dreading would happen. So I was feeling both at the same time. I was feeling dread and frustration and fear about what I would look like with no hair, what would happen when the hair would fall out, how would my daughter feel. But when we got the chair out and we wrote a barbershop sign and
So you did this with her?
I did, yeah. So my mom used to cut my hair and she would say, "Welcome to my barbershop," and then she would cut my hair, when I was little. So I did that, with her, with Jillian, with my daughter. I said, "Let's play barbershop." And so she got the razor out or I got the razor out and she just started doing it. And it was a mess, and we had lines going every which way and zigzagging, and eventually we kind of shaped it up enough to where it could, I could finish the job. But she was my barber.